Hey, Richard, the whole thing about this podcast is that we use strong language, not weak language, but strong language, which sometimes is like curse words. It's just because the whole premise is this is like after a MACNA or trade show when we all gather at the bar and we're just shooting shit and talking about stuff. And it's just, the guard is down. So if you're afraid of cuss words, first of all, toughen up. And second of all, we warned you, okay? So this is Reef Beef.
Today on this show, this is Reef Beef. My name is Rich.
My name is Ben.
And today we're doing Ask Reef Beef. It turns out we have a backlog of Ask Reef Beef questions. So we're going to go through them and answer them. This episode is brought to you by saltwateraquarium.com, Champion Lighting and Supply, and powered by PolypLab. Welcome to Reef Beef. Hey, Ben.
Hey, Richard.
What the hell is going on?
I'm just sitting here with my tank and just chilling. What's going on with you?
It's looking really good.
It is, right? I've had it for 38 years.
That's great. I didn't know you had a home tank that was worth looking at.
Yeah, I do. And the weird thing, I guess you could say, you can feel good about it because I've really copied you a lot.
A lot.
A whole lot.
A lot.
It just, I really zoomed into a lot of your videos and photos, and I was just trying to do your tank, but with like my spin on it.
And what spin of yours did you put on it?
To be honest with you, absolutely nothing, because, well, it's just that I completely recreated your system in Texas. So that's my spin.
Wow, you really did it, even with the white cladding.
Yeah, and I had to tell you, so here is one difference. Your tank does not have these Colostrea fricata right here.
It doesn't?
No, it does not. I felt like you left this part blank, and I wanted to put sort of like a focal point, so I put these there. So this is the one difference, because I felt like if I completely copied your system, that was sort of disingenuous.
That's cool. And you painted your wall pumpkin like ours is.
I looked at Sherwin-Williams and found the exact color. It's called Velma's Sweater.
For those of you who are listening instead of watching, Ben is sitting in front of a tank that looks very much like mine. Okay, but he's done an amazing job. It's like an homage to me, apparently.
I'm like your biggest sycophant.
Yeah, there's no possibility you're just in the other room in my house, is there?
No, that's super far away, bro.
Yeah, bro.
Are we bros now?
This is super far away, brah.
So what's going on in your room?
In my room, this is the secret home lab. I've got behind me some tanks with stuff in them.
Wow, that's informative.
Corals and stuff. There's nothing new going on in the lab. Anything new going on has got to do with electrical and stuff going on right now. Except I have two biota yellow tanks in the tank behind me here. And there's baby urchins in there now.
Yep.
I got from Bill Chapman, bred them, and Chad Wilson sent them to me. And they are now doing their jobs, eating stuff around the baby corals that are in there. So that's pretty
They're
cool.
like the size of a marble.
They're like the size of a tiny marble.
Yeah.
There's some that are like 2 millimeters as well.
Really?
Yeah. Bill, thank you so much for sending them to me. I'm glad you had them at a time that I could use them. I really appreciate it.
So is 2 millimeters, is that like a BB?
Yes. There's some even smaller than that in there.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow.
Dust particles.
Wow. But we're here for a special episode of Reef Beef. It's actually one of my favorite episodes. It's Ask Reef Beef. So we've got a bunch of questions. We'll get through a bunch of them and we'll see what we're doing. Are you ready, Benjamin?
I was born ready.
But are you ready now?
No, not at all.
What were you born ready for?
This exact moment.
Well, then, fucking A, here we go. This is from Garbled from Tim. My tank, 800 gallons, has had many trials and tribulations, floods, fires, equipment mass failures, and now cyano, which is almost under control thanks to your suggestion of a blackout. My question is, will you do a tarot reading of my tank if I ever get a coral in there? And the answer to that question
Can you do a tarot reading right now?
is yes. No, we have to find out if he ever. Oh, he wants to do a tarot reading of if he will ever get a coral in there.
Oh, okay.
That's
okay.
what it is. It's not
Just
a tarot
don't-
reading of when he gets a coral in there.
Richard, if you pull the death card, just don't say anything and let's just carry on.
Okay, I'm gonna do.
The star-crossed lovers.
I'm gonna do. This is a European tarot reading.
Oh, what's different about that?
It's gonna use 4 cards.
Oh, that's fancy.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, this is for the garbled one.
Okay.
The first card. Here it is. The King of Cups.
Oh, wow. I mean, cups are good.
Yeah, exactly. And kings are good. So
Yes.
with the first card alone, it's looking pretty good that you're going to get a coral in there. Oh, the Queen of Cups is your second card.
You know, if you're a king of cups and you need a queen of cups.
Yeah, so it's looking very good. The third card is the Knight of Cups.
Oh, are we going to have a cup flush?
So that's pretty good.
You
Oh.
saying,
And this is the guy with sticks.
uh-oh, what does he
Yeah.
do?
He breaks your tank with sticks.
But if we have a triumvirate of cup people, I feel like they're going to trump the stick man.
Well, he's got 3 sticks. There's 3 of these people and 3 sticks. So with this, I would give you got about an 80% chance of getting corals in your tank.
But does that mean he gets corals in his tank, but then someone comes along and beats him to death with sticks?
That is outside of the scope of this reading. The scope of this reading was, will I
Okay.
ever get corals in the tank?
Okay, fair
Yeah.
enough.
All right.
I mean,
There you
that
go.
that's very reasonable.
It's the first ever actual tarot reading from Reef Beef.
Yeah.
Fish, fish.
Fish, fish.
Hey, Ben,
Hey, Richard,
you know what I did this week?
I'm gonna plead the fifth. I don't know.
I ordered from saltwateraquarium.com.
Oh, that was my next guess.
I ordered, guess what I ordered?
F-aptasia.
I did order F-aptasia. And I also ordered some iron concentrate from Two Little Fishies and some iodine concentrate from Two Little Fishies.
Oh, cool.
And that's what I ordered from saltwateraquarium.com because they're a sponsor and they have stuff that we like. So I
Yeah.
order for them when we can.
Richard, did you know that they have 3 locations spread it out across the continental United States?
How many?
1, 2, 3.
That is so many.
I've heard that the owner, Kenneth, he has a fascination with numbers divisible by 3.
He's of the occult.
Yes.
That's why he has 9 children.
Yeah. We don't really know that, but it sounds fun.
We know.
We know.
I know. It's on the app. Saltwateraquarium.com. We were using them before this podcast existed, and we like them very much. They've got a lot of stuff and they ship it to you fast. And it's
Oh,
good.
Richard.
Yeah.
They do have a what's new thing that people need to check out.
Right. The what's new section shows you what's new on the site. It's worth looking at because as you get to be a crotchety, old, experienced hobbyist, you go, I know what I need, and you just go and order it. But I actually looked at the what's new section and I was like, oh, this is fun. Look, I didn't know about that. And I didn't know about that. And just by looking at that can kind of keep you abreast of where the hobby is kind of going. So I'm glad you brought that up. And I'm glad they have asked us to talk about that. Saltwateraquarium.com. Check them out on the app. Use the link below And when you order from them, put something reef beefy into the comments field when you make the order so they know that Reef Beef sent you.
Fish. Fish.
Fish. Fish.
All right, next question from Rayanne, it looks like. I'm seeking to create an artistic nano tank, something inspired by tank like Steve's and Rich's. What are the ways you'd go about setting up this tank? An artistic nano.
Artistic nano. Who's Steve?
I don't know. Maybe it's you and they wrote Steve instead of Ben.
My name is Ben, lady.
It could be, or it could be a man too. I'm not sure. I've totally ruined their name, I'm sure.
Yeah, what if it's like Stevie Nicks?
It could be like Stevie Nicks.
Yeah.
But this is minutia. The question is about an artistic nano tank.
But that's sort of a weird question because you're mixing aesthetics with functionality. So I could answer like, how do you set up a nano tank? But the artistry is not something that we can direct her how to do.
Sure it is.
Make it look good.
Well, so what does that mean? Instead of just being a flippant bitch, what do artistic, first of all,
Okay.
what does that mean to you?
Well, that could, make it look aesthetically pleasing, which, in recreating a natural environment, making,
But
maybe observing the rule of thirds, the golden mean.
So I think you're confusing natural and artistic.
Okay.
Art-
Well,
arti-
okay, you're right.
So you want it to be artistic. What does that mean? So I guess that's actually the real question. I guess my tank is artistic in the way that the corals have been around long enough that I move them around so they play off of each other. This was something I learned from Steve Wiest. Maybe that's who they're referencing. You want the 3 different complementary colors or 3 different colors across from each other on the color wheel. And that's why the section of my tank that Ben recreated that he was talking about, that's got the Milka, and then it's got, which is pinky purpley, and then it's got the Montipora spongiotes, which is green, and then it's got the Setosa, which is orange. So that kind of section kind of really pops because those 3 colors play off each other. What were you going to say about the rule of thirds or the 5/6 rule?
Well, when she's going through to do her aquascaping, the base of all that, following that, what they call it, the golden mean or whatever,
Golden ratio.
golden ratio. It's just a way to situate things to make them look. But again, my brain keeps going back to what you stopped there, because her question itself can be subjective, because do you mean art in a subjective way, or do you mean like recreating a natural looking environment, sort of like freshwater planted people do to make, mess with focus and.
Yeah. And I want to apologize. We're not sure if you're male or female or near in between or outside of that. I think the clue we can get to this question is something inspired by tanks like mine and Steve's. What would I say? Okay. I would ask a bunch of questions. What do you want out of the tank? And do you want perspective? Do you want competing colors? Do you want complementing colors? What does artistic mean to you? But I think from the question, naturalistic is, I was a jackass at the beginning of this with you, but naturalistic maybe is the way to go. Or, if I was doing a nano tank, man, I'm always tempted to do a monoculture in a nano tank. Some kind of scape for the coral to grow on, and just the coral, or just the coral. Just one coral, and let it take over.
That reminds me, I have to say, like Jake Adams did that years ago.
Yeah.
That whole thing where he had a single elegance coral in a tank.
Yeah.
You could, whether someone wants to argue that's artistic or not, it was different for sure.
Yeah. I made that. Yeah. Because elegance is a little slow growing.
Yeah.
I don't think if you got couple of acros that were, or mushrooms or whatever of different colors, and you let them grow
Almost like a quilt.
and fill the tank, it'd probably be pretty awesome.
You know, that's funny because it depends how almost like difficult someone wants to make something to take care of it. But it is tricky too, because like back in the day, coralomorpharians or mushrooms used to be way easier to get. Now they're sort of more expensive now and everything like that. But
Yeah.
that would be so simple just to make a wall-to-wall patchwork of mushrooms and
So
very easy to take care of.
This tank behind me up here that I'm pointing to that you can't see if you're listening, that's my anemone tank, and it's got that weird anemone in it, and it's got a gigantea. No, not a gigantea. What has it got? Magnifica anemone in there. But there's a lot more room in that tank, so I actually have a ton of mushrooms and Recordia in there. No, not Recordia, just mushrooms. And they're growing in a way that I like how they're hitting each other together. So, you know, what do you, I would need to know what you want to be able to help you do that. You could do a focal point, you could do a vanishing point, you could do a golden ratio, you could do nothing. You could
It's a nano, so you could easily build like a cantilevered or overhanging, cool looking,
Yeah.
and use SeaTac from one of our sponsors
Sure.
to put that aquascape together.
You could do an arch that goes from wall to wall.
Towers.
Just not even an arch, a bridge.
Yeah.
That's interesting. There's all kinds of stuff you could do. So I think we've beaten that to death. Or
Yeah.
you could get, you know, a ceramic sculpture and put it in there and let corals encrust all over it.
Sophastria.
Or you could get like a monster and you could put green star polyps all on its back. So it looks like it's, you know, you could grow different color. You could do a paint by numbers with different corals.
People do that with
statue.
Sophastria, is allowing Sophastria to grow on things like little skulls or
Yeah.
Star Wars spaceships.
Well, I don't think that answered the question, but hopefully that sends you down some roads that are more interesting, or are interesting. Please let us know what you think and what you decide.
Fish. Fish.
Fish. Fish.
Hey, Richard, do you know that it's so crazy? Because when you are powered by PolypLab, it's something that just people throw around, you know, the breakfast table. But you can feel it in it's like a resonation inside your skeletal connective tissues. And it's something that you can physically feel. And now I think Richard's so pissed off at me. He walked away. No, he's back.
It's a resonation?
Yeah, with your connective skeletal tissue, your
So
fascia.
I was going to talk about reefroids because I still have this bag that still has a hole in it, but I feed this to your coral. It's really good.
Yeah.
But Phil Gilbert from PolypLab sent us a bunch of bribes.
Yeah.
And so here's a bunch of hand towels. This is cool. Oh, wow. That's a lot of towels.
I know, he sent to me. I had enough to like store some of them in my garage.
They better be microfiber. Maybe we'll raffle some of these off or something.
Yeah.
Oh, and then I got a sweatshirt. Ooh, this looks like a nice sweatshirt.
Yeah, he sent me a 2XL, so I don't know if Phil thinks I'm a large man.
He sent me an XL. Ooh, this is cush.
It's gonna keep you warm.
Yeah. It says that,
PolypLab.
and then it says that.
Sweet.
So anyway, PolypLab products. I like these towels. This is great. Okay. Thank you, PolypLab. We appreciate that you send us stuff and that we talk about one product for 12 seconds during this commercial for PolypLab.
Fish. Fish.
Fish. Fish.
Next question. Scott O. Fauna Marin recently released some quite sensational claims about 6 trace elements being important for preventing or stopping RTN, especially the presence of fluoride, bromide, and iodide. They provided no evidence but word of mouth. They own a coral form and seem to be respected. What do we do in the scenario? How much do we squint?
You always squint hard. I mean, squinting never really stops.
Yeah.
And it's the problem I have. I know Fauna Marin. I mean, they've been around forever, well-respected company. I mean, who am I to ask they, but I mean, it shouldn't really be like that. Who am I? That's irrelevant of a claim being made. You either provide the data or you don't.
Yeah, I think that's right. We squint really hard until we have information. If they presented no information to support the claim, it's just a claim. There's no reason to believe it.
And it's just anecdote. And if I was really, having an issue with that and tried their method, and that's cool, and then I could run around saying like it worked and blah blah blah. But I mean, at the end of the day, we really want data.
Well,
I'm so glad you're eating while you're talking.
well, I'm so hungry because I'm so far away from you. I mean, if they provided no information, and it's not really data, we want to know what their evidence is, right? I've been harping on this for a year or two now, the difference between data and evidence. Evidence could be anything. Anecdotal evidence is useful. It's always depending on if it's compelling or not. But hey, I've got a coral farm and these elements stop RTN. I need something more than that.
I mean,
how did it stop the RTN? How quickly did it stop the RTN? Did it stop what percentage of cases did it stop the RTN? What else was being done? I need, otherwise it's just add these things because I say so. So
well, yeah, and it just sounds weird. Like, we added silica and we added vanadium and we added molybdenum and we added this, and all of a sudden RTN stopped. So it's like, and I'm just pulling these out of my butt. These aren't their claim things or anything I've seen, but like, when you're doing that, like, how do you know, was it the silica or not? Or could you remove it from that equation? Or what does it do? What are the pathways? Or why would it help? And like the molybdenum or the vanadium or iron,
But the real answer to this is we squint really hard until they give us some evidence that we can review. Otherwise, we got nothing. It's like UVB might be helpful. You got to show some evidence that it actually is, some reasoning behind why you think it is, that we find compelling. So I think it's ignorable because I don't even know what they mean by stopping RTN.
Here's the problem too. A good way to screw up your reef tank is just tilt at every windmill that everyone offers you.
Yeah.
And then you're like, what's wrong with my tank? And you're just using every method and every this and throwing stuff in and then taking it out, and then it's not a stable environment.
Yeah. Now, you got a coral farm and you produce good corals. So I want to listen to you, right? Because you have a good result. But I don't know what they mean by stopping RTN. Did they stop RTN in their coral farm? Did they stop did they see customers who are using their testing report that RTN has stopped? So there's really no information here except somebody you might respect said it. So, but this isn't like, you don't really need filter socks. This is very specific. And it's very specific about which. So I want to see the evidence. What evidence are they presenting? Without that, I've got no real comment. It's just like any other.
But that's what. So what if Craig Bingman came to you and I and said, if you add 10 milliliters of potassium per 100 gallons, it's going to achieve this effect?
I would say, tell me more. Tell me the evidence. How does it work?
And then he would say, I can't tell you that, it's proprietary information.
I would say, all right, well, show me the amount of individual studies where it's worked, the case studies.
And then, typical to industry fashion, he would say, well, we're working on that and it will become available when we are done.
Well, then we'll talk more about this when that happens, because now we're just talking mind stories and we're debating stuff This is squarely red car in the parking lot stuff, right? We don't need to mind story ourselves and talk about, is there a red car in the parking lot, and what are the probabilities that there's a red car and how many red cars and where it would be parked. We can just go fucking look at the parking lot.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's the same thing here. There's no reason to debate whether fluorine, bromine, or iodine might or might not have anything to do with RTN. The claim is that they do something. So show us. Show us it's any study. Show here's a tank that had RTN. We adjusted these, and the RTM went into remission. Great. Now show me that several more times when nothing else has been happening, and that makes some sense, maybe.
And then the more, I mean, that's just like science. The more facilities unrelated to them on the other side of the continent that would match that same thing, and it's reproducible, the more of that happens, the more I'm like, oh, well, yeah, that's a thing, because they did it over here, they did it over here.
How many times has this been replicated? So then the next thing is, if they have that data, that evidence that it seems to do something, well, then we need to try it over somewhere else. I need to try it. Somebody with RTN needs to try it and see if it works. That's all. I mean, we don't. Why am I harping on it in my head, at least? It's because I think I don't want to be mad at Fawn and Oren. You know, I don't want to be mad at anybody who's coming up with a story like this. So I can just go, well, I can't wait to see the evidence. Otherwise, we're just talking about red cars, and we could go look if there's a red car. And if we can't look if there's a red car, why are we mentally masturbating about, is there or is there not a red car?
Yeah.
Fish. Fish.
Fish. Fish.
Champion Lighting Supply. It's the place to get your things. That's an actual jingle that Todd paid me to go into my basement, which does not exist in Texas, and, you know, write a jingle for Champion Lighting Supply.
Yeah. Champion Lighting Supply. The two products we're going to talk about is going to be CTAC, which is their new adhesive that you, Ben, you used to build some rock structure, and you like that a whole lot.
I like it a whole lot for building. You can use it to make a pretty crazy, like we were talking earlier about, like a cantilevered overhang and stuff like that. It works real well for that.
Yeah. And we're probably going to try that out here this week. While you're here. And then the other thing that they've got is the Captivate products, which there's foods and there's additives and there's all kinds of stuff in the Captivate line. And the only place you can get Captivate online is through Champion Lighting. All the stuff from Captivate that I've used so far, I've liked a lot. I definitely use some of their foods all the time. So check them out. Go to Champion Lighting. Let them know we sent you. And thank you so much for the support.
Fish. Fish.
Fish. Fish.
All right, next question. By Cotton. Jason. Hey, Reef Beef. My question is, what are the individual indicators in a reef tank that indicate your tank needs attention? And what's the time frame of those observations? Thanks. I love your podcast. That's a really interesting question.
That's tricky for me, because I guess this is formed by what I do for a living, which is aquarium maintenance. So like, this might be different than what a lot of people do, because I think there's a fair amount of people out there that do this thing where they change water as they feel that it's needed. I don't do that. I change water on a regular basis. Now, I might change the amount. I could change the frequency that I'm doing that too, but it just happens almost like irregardless. It's almost like I'm saying I'm going to change the oil in my truck when it starts acting weird. That's not the time to do it.
But that's not the question. What are the visual indicators? You walk by a tank and you see some stuff that make you go, oh, I better do something.
Like some SPS knot, you know, if they normally polyp out, like a millipora, like not really bushing out. LPS, you know, that comes down to observation of your tank, knowing what your corals look like when they're happy, knowing what a coral looks like when it's happy, and then, you know, less expansion, maybe slow color shifts, but I mean, that shouldn't take, that's a time scale that's too long. My SPS turned brown, so I should do something to the tank. Like, that takes a while.
Yeah. I think observation, when things change, what does that change and what does it indicate?
But someone could also say, like, that your tank was young and started growing, and the things that you were doing at that point, were making it grow. But then when you get this overabundance of growth, like I've done here in this tank of mine, when you get all this coral mass, you may find, like, if you weren't dosing trace elements for it, it didn't seem to matter. But then you get all this coral mass here, and you're like, man, I'm having some problems with coloration and growth. And maybe, before, I never felt that I was changing water frequently. So in my mind, I felt like I didn't need to supplement trace elements. But, with all this mass of corals pulling everything out of the water, you could carefully add, a trace. There could be stuff like that, trace element additions, and then finding out what amount seems to matter, or if any of it matters or not.
Yeah, I think, yeah, man, it's how big is your green thumb, your blue thumb? You kind of got to know what's going on.
Yeah, that's totally tied to blue thumb.
It's the same. I mean, your car thing is, so what are you looking for? You're looking for corals to change shape, corals to change color, corals to be losing tissue,
Loss of growth.
The loss of growth, or looking like they're going to start losing tissue. They're not looking right. Has algae popped up in places that it's not been before? Are the corals responding when they're being fed? Are they not responding to being fed? What's different? So, I always think about the analogy of submariners, which is, when you're on a ship or a submarine and something's wrong with the engines, people wake up immediately and go, something's wrong. It's not, you feel it, you hear it, you see it, you're used to it. When things change, you want to find out what's made it change. I want to just give you the list that we gave you before, but it's hard because every tank is different. What's the time frame? It depends, right? I will, when I walk by and I go, hey, that's weird, then I have to decide, can I wait a few days to see what it does? Or is it bad enough that I need to do something? Okay,
But
so like, look, Ben, on your left, on the bottom, just move your hand out on your left. Now bring it forward, that green coral.
Yeah.
Right there. That coral needs to be repositioned. I can tell from this video in Ben's tank.
I have it sitting vertically. It should be laying back a little bit more. That's what I refer to as a Space Invaders chalice.
So that needs attention. But where it is, it's a pain in the ass to get to, and it's not killing the coral. It's more of an aesthetic thing.
It will change its growth pattern if I didn't move it.
So it should get moved, but it's not emergent. If you see an acro that has fallen onto an elegance coral or has fallen onto a pectinia, that needs action immediately because those two corals are going to fight hardcore.
But you come back to it. You also come back to a thing that I've said for a long time, and I've heard you say too, which is, when you're troubleshooting an aquarium, the first thing you do is like, you ask the person, well, what is your concern? Well, this coral looks bad, and I think something might be wrong with my tank. So then the immediately thing I do, does anything else look bad?
Oh, that's exactly perfect.
Yep. Because then you told me something's wrong with this coral, and I think something's wrong with my tank. And I look around and like, no, the only thing pissed off in your tank is that one solitary coral.
Yeah.
So I just say with caution, I don't think something's wrong with your entire tank. It just something looks wrong with that one coral.
Yeah.
So make that distinction.
If you start dicking around with one coral and dicking around with the general parameters of your tank, because one coral is going down, but 95% of the rest of it's doing fine, you're making a mistake.
Frying pan to the fryer.
And some of, you need to know if I'm looking at corals and I'm going, something's not looking right over a bit, my stupid brain eventually will go, have you checked for red bugs? And then I'll go grab the flashlight and look for red bugs. And then it's like, oh, there's red bugs. I need to do something. I should do it now. And that's the benefit of what Ben was getting at the beginning about doing your maintenance regularly, keeping your tank stable, is that things that are not doing right will jump out more because everything else has been kept the same over time. So that's one of the benefits, that you're not going, oh shit, I didn't do my water change in 3 months and now I see things that might be a problem. Now you're in the weeds and you're just guessing and kitchen sinking.
Well, in the weird thing that I've known this about aquariums for so long, that I hope everyone watching this knows, is like, let's say you slack off on maintenance, and the answer to doing that once you perceive a problem isn't a whole bunch of maintenance up front really soon, back to back to back. It got it down, depending what we're talking about, but it got there crappy slowly. And generally, in my opinion, it needs to be brought back to speed somewhat slowly. You can't like, oh man, I didn't do a water change in here for 6 months. I was trying to go the whole not water change route, and this experiment is 6 months old, and so I'm going to go back to water change. So I'm going to do like a water change once a day to get it back up to speed. And no, that's not, it got there bad slowly. You need to bring it back slowly. Do you disagree?
I think maybe sometimes I think your general idea there makes sense. But I'm not sure if the kind of more specific idea makes sense. If your tank water, if you think your tank water is bad, whatever that means, there's no reason to not change it quick.
That's true.
So I think maybe how I rephrase what you're saying is that the recovery from a problem is going to take time.
Yeah.
It's going to take as much time to get fixed, roughly, as it was to become a problem. Right?
And I know
when you get fat, it takes a year to get fat. It's going to take a year to get unfat. I mean, you don't want to overdo it on your water changes, but if you haven't done a water change in 6 months and you used to do a lot and you want to go back to it, starting with a 50% water change seems fine, but you can't do 10 water changes in a row to make up for it. That's changing the environment too much too often. So I think
that's sort of more applicable to freshwater aquariums, because all the time I spent working in stores, because I feel like there's more of a buffer system, obviously, in saltwater. And, when I worked in stores, you'd always get this thing where someone set up an aquarium a long time ago. And, I'd ask them like, well, how often do you do water changes? Oh, well, I add back water, as needed. And and then it's like, that's not a water change. That's replenishment from evaporation. So, oh, you're saying I should do a water change? Well, hold on, because now probably your pH is tanked. You haven't done a water change in 1 year. And then you're trying to, and so that's bad, where the pH is going to come down to like 7 and you're going to jerk it way up to 8.5. But that's more applicable to freshwater.
Yeah, you want to keep it as stable as you can. You don't want it to slide. Anyway, Jason, write back to us and let us know if we answered your question well enough or not.
Fish.
Hey, beefers. Thank you so much for making this show possible. If it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be doing this at all. We would just be like drunk and naked, laying down, complaining about forms to the wall. But now that we're here, we've got you guys and y'all, and we really appreciate it. And we dig it, and we dig being able to talk about social justice in the reefing world. We dig being able to talk about weird shit. We dig being able to swear, and we dig you coming to the Discord and talking to us in person, and we just dig it. So if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be doing it. And so if you are new to the podcast or on the show, and you're wondering what to do, there's a couple things you can do to support us. One, you can go through and listen to the old shows. That's always helpful for us. And you can like and subscribe us on YouTube, and you can share those around. That's super helpful. And if you want to do more, we've got the Discord. You can be part of that community, or you can become a Reef Beef member, and we've got different levels of membership. And those are all very helpful to us. But just being part of it, listening and sharing, that's what we dig. What say you, Ben?
I just want to let the beefers know that Richard gets pissed off how I say Discord.
But that's not how you normally say Discord.
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 Discord. Datcord.
The other cord.
But
yeah,
no,
so
I do want to say thank you for supporting us. We're not for everybody, but if you're watching this far, we are for you. So thank you.
right on. Peace, everyone. We'll see you later.
Fish. Fish.
fish, fish,
The next question I might not understand from Eric. Could you make a mineral accretion device for reef tanks, either built into the live rock or frag racks or commercial operation? Thanks for all the episode. I've been a fan since the beginning. Sorry, I shouldn't have said live rock in my question. It would obviously have to be a manufactured rock to contain the wires. I'm still appreciative of your time, even this is a stupid, non-feasible idea. I think he's talking about electrostimulation for coral growth.
But why?
Well, there's studies that show that the corals grow faster with the electrical stimulation.
I mean, what kind of dragon chasing is that?
Well, I think that's kind of how it's happened. Now it's come down. The people have tried it. First of all, it's a pain in the ass to get. They set up solar things with some electrical current that goes to a rebar cage, and corals seem to attach to it and grow very quickly.
In the ocean.
In the ocean. I vaguely remember some people doing it, but this is one of those mind story juice worth the squeeze things. How much faster is it growing? Is it growing? If it's growing 90% faster, I'm very excited. If it's growing 15% faster, I'm way less excited.
Maybe this is a pet peeve of mine that I haven't exactly parsed out yet, but I guess, and maybe some of the viewers disagree with me, but I guess I don't ever understand it from the point of view of just trying to recreate a pretty tank. My pet peeve is the absolute obsession with speed of coral growth. If you're Chris Meckley at ACI, I get it. I understand it in that case because time is money and you're trying to bring corals to market. But all the people that are just trying to create something like my beautiful tank right here, okay, coral growth, yes, it's important. Growth is health. I think maybe that's a weird statement. Not always. It's cancer. Growth is always healthy, including tumors. But just an outright obsession with coral growth. I mean, wires and accretion, and I don't know where that belongs in a reef tank.
My memory of when I looked into this was that the juice isn't worth the squeeze.
Yeah,
it's not worth it. But again, I hope we've answered your question. If let us know either way, because that would be nice to know. This is from Beefer Fan. Where can I get a lock of Ben Johnson's hair?
You can get a lock of Ben Johnson's hair right here. It's right here. I don't know. What are we discussing? Prices?
It's your hair.
I mean, what is my hair worth?
How much are you going to charge for it? You only
know.
I
think, should I make a proclamation of the belly hair thing?
You do whatever you want, man. It's your show.
But let me go to 20. When we get to 2,500 viewers, I'm going to take a straight razor and shave hair off of my belly, and then I'm going to encase it in acrylic resin.
So you're saying 2,500 subs on YouTube?
Yeah.
So I think you said 2,000 subs on YouTube, but you didn't realize that we were at like 1,900.
We're right there.
Okay.
So I'm a liar and a cheat.
So at 2,500 subs, you're gonna shave your belly and encase the hair in a block of plastic
And throw it through your window.
and raffle it off or send it away.
Yeah.
What are
Or
you
send me away.
So there's two questions that remain. What are you gonna do at 2,000? And where can someone get a lock of your hair? A lock, like if we're gonna cut a lock of your hair off.
Does a lock mean you're going all the way to the scalp?
It means whatever you want it to mean.
Okay, then I'll just cut off my split ends and put it in an envelope and send it to you for $10.
All right, there you go.
I mean, we had to set the parameters, right?
Beef for fan, $10, and you can get his split end sent to you. He said he'll do it. There you go. Contact us through the website or on Discord, and we'll get to that. Okay.
But I don't understand why I have to do something back to back, 2,025.
Well, because you fucked it up.
Oh, because I shifted the goalposts.
Yes. So what are you going to do at 2,000?
Well, okay, let me pose it this way. We're almost at 2,000. So when this video comes out, people watching the show, give me options of what I could do at 2,000, and I'll pick the one that sounds best to me.
Okay. That sounds like a way to not take responsibility yourself.
I know,
but that's okay.
But at 2,500, I'm taking a straight razor to my stomach and then encasing something in resin. So that's a heavy lift.
Okay. I can see that.
It's not every day that you're doing that.
Okay. Next question. We have 3 questions. This is from Gary.
Good old Gary.
3 questions. 1, category livestock. Herbivore fish for a small tank, let's say around 50 gallons. Go.
50 gallons?
Herbivore fish.
Fish. Okay. A dwarf angel, not going to make a giant impact, but some. I don't remember the scientific name, but there's the orange dot blenny. Some people call it a red dot blenny. I like them a lot. They're not going to make a giant impact, but they'll put the lip marks on the deal. You're putting me in a corner because like I'm really big on giving tangs a lot of space. So I don't really want to say much of any tangs for a 50 gallon.
Yeah, but this is a question we get all the time. So I think it behooves us to actually try to answer it rather than to go, no.
Well,
do?
But right off the tip of my tongue, I was going to say like a young Tomini tang.
Yeah. I think that's right. I think a small rabbit fish.
Yeah.
And just be ready. We always talk about rehoming fish, or people talk about rehoming fish. Most never do. Rehome the fish when it gets too big, and then you're okay. People are generally looking for a 4-inch, 3 or 4 inch fish for larger tanks for herbivory.
But please don't put 5 different tangs in a 50 gallon.
No, but if you get like 1 or 2 biota yellow tangs that come, the size of a quarter or whatever, you'll have those for a few years. But and I guess the answer to part of the answer to say is that, if you want a fish to really do a job of an herbivore, they've got to kind of be bigger. It's just there aren't really little ones that do it.
Low impact.
As they get bigger, they get better at it, right? So
here's another thing to be said. Think about, and this is how I put herbivores of all kind, not just fish, in people's tanks, is think about the diversity. Think about the shape of the mouth and the function of what like a Tomini tang is going to scrape, whereas Zebrasoma, like a yellow tang, is going to maybe poke more at hair type things, whereas a, red dot blenny is going to sort of do a whole mouth chomp. Different things are going to eat, diatoms off of the front glass are going to eat different things out of the crevices in the rocks or the flat parts of the rock. You can't put a tank that has 5 different types of algae and put one zebrasoma tank in there and think that zebrasoma is going to eat all those types of algae.
Yeah.
It's got to be diversified.
For bang for the buck, I think rabbitfish are the way to go. I like rabbitfish better than tangs.
For Valonia,
I think through my experience that rabbitfish are more efficient herbivores than tangs are. I just think they eat more stuff and they eat it more robustly.
Generally, I agree with you, but sometimes you get a real busy Tomini tang or something like that.
Yeah.
Or I don't see them as much anymore, obviously, because Hawaii, but a coal or Kole tang.
Those are great.
Man, if you see a busy coal tang, a busy yellow eye tang, like they're not doing anything else.
Yeah.
But chomping algae.
But the question was herbivore for a small tank. I'm going to jump and go. If you're really looking for herbivores for a small tank, you want to not look at fish, or you want, small fish. But, I'm a huge fan of the pincushion urchin, not the pincushion, the tuxedo. Mespelia. And Mespelia. God, I can't pronounce anything anymore because now you're fucking weird Texas pronunciation.
Ding, 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 ding. Mespelia.
And then, various snails in different capacities.
But again, you hit at what's the important of putting herbivores in your tank. It's not, I put 10 snails in. Why the fuck do I still have an algae problem? Diversify.
Yeah, there's no magic answer. But we're straying from the question. But I guess that's okay. I guess we can stray from the question. Yeah, I like a little urchin. I like a larger urchin. I like what are the snails I like? Oh my God.
The red-banded trochus.
The trochus and the with the A. Sorry, my brain is off.
Estrella?
I think so. And then that's the mix I like.
Hell, even if you diversify, I know there's like the margarita snails. Like, what's so bad about those?
I don't think they're particularly efficient.
Yeah.
I think
there's the turban.
I think the trochus are the shit.
Zebra trochus.
Yeah. There's a million snails, but I think everyone's looking for the magic snail, and there's magic snail. I think there's a nice combination of different herbivores that you can get that can help.
Here's what I would say. I don't know if you'd agree with this, but I have a 50-gallon. It's chewed up with algae. I need snails, so I'm going to order 15 red-banded trochus. Sure, you could do that, but again, I say with the diversity, get 2 or 3 of these, get 2 or 3 of these, get 2 or 3 of these. And if you seem to see that one of those species is seeming to just go at it a little more, then go double up on that.
Yeah, and rehome the other ones if you think they're doing nothing. If you go and you buy 50 trochus for your 20-gallon tank, you need to get rid of at least most of them, in a week or two when there's no more food. It's not cool. It's not cool to let things starve to death because you're lazy.
Not only is it not cool, but and this will be the final nail in the coffin. But I have seen, this is not a mind story. I've seen this with my own eyes. Like, say someone has a 200-gallon, they just want this algae gone. They go out and buy 150 red-banded trochus, put it in the tank. If you do not get rid of some of those as the algae goes down, they will die. They will refuel the next generation of an algae problem by dying in your tank. So, maybe get with someone, share the cost, and then share the amount.
Yeah.
There's a maintenance level of herbivores, and then there's oh shit, I got to get rid of this problem level.
That's a really good distinction. Part 2, category, filtration. Should I run carbon in a mixed reef with a leather coral, a large toadstool in my case?
YES.
Yeah, I agree with that. The mixed reef, the softies, let allelopathic compounds come out, which can be bad for other corals. So might as well run carbon and just try to keep that level low.
Sarcophene.
3, category, system safety. Is it okay to dispose of saltwater in a septic tank? I've been doing a small amount for years, about 5 gallons a week without seeing any issues, but I'm planning to upgrade to a much larger tank and have concerns about long-term clogging the drain field. I've read that water softeners are safe for septic systems and likely put a lot more salt in the tank than someone with water changes.
You know who this question is for?
Who?
An expert in septic systems. I don't know how I could possibly answer that question.
Yeah, I don't know the answer either.
I mean, I know it's not, I know because I grew up in and around rural Texas, and I know it's not good to dump a lot of salt water in there, but you know that because that works off of microbes, and I know that you occasionally had to do like sludge buildup, and if you're trying to avoid, because I know if you kill all that bacteria in there, then you're going to have a company that comes out and pumps out your septic system, and that's expensive and gross.
Yeah, I know that at the academy, we were limited to how much salt water we could dispose of down the drain every week or every day, because too much salt water would overwhelm the digesters. So without knowing anything much except basics about septic systems, I probably wouldn't be pouring that water into my septic system at all. I would be
maybe I'm
pouring it
not doing
somewhere
this
else.
fair, because I feel like maybe I can answer this question in all seriousness, because there's lots of rural places in Texas that are on septic systems. I believe I have clients right now that run septic systems. What a lot of these people will do, or what I've done in the past, is you pick a spot in the yard and drain to there. Just don't be you don't want to do that to the septic system. You'll screw up the bacteria. But there was a guy that, I don't know if this is necessary, but because he built his house from scratch, where he made like a big pit filled with sort of like rock pebbles and covered that up with dirt. And then he was like, when you drain the tank off, just drain to that. I don't know that it needed to be this like sort of hidden cistern, but just drain to some part in your yard where grass is never going to grow. Yeah. Because I wouldn't put that down a septic system.
Yeah. My water changes goes to a pit I dug and filled with rocks on the side of the house.
Oh, okay. So you're a similar thing.
Yeah. But I don't have a septic system. I just thought, why am I putting salt water down the drain if I don't need to?
But why'd you do the whole rock thing?
So it would be able to drain down if it's just
okay.
Our soil compacts.
Standing water.
And then it would be standing water.
Okay.
That's it. Thank you for your questions. If you've got more, please send them into Ask Reef Beef and we will answer them. Thank you very much for watching. We appreciate the questions. We love them. Please, with the septic one, if you know the answer to that, get us back. We'll do a little research on it as well. We'd like to thank our sponsors, saltwateraquarium.com, Champion Lighting, and PolypLab. And we'd also like to thank the beefers. You guys support us. You make it all happen. We appreciate it. We'll see you on the Discord. And thank you so much for your support.
This episode hosted by Richard Ross and Ben Johnson. Produced by Richard Ross and Snowman. Directed and edited by Snowman. Thanks to our Prime and Gold level beefers, Scott O, Robert S, Jason C, Corey, Rich P, James B, Ryan H, Scott C, Russell, and Pedro.
Make it stop.
You're fucking taking my tank.
I am Pippi Longstocking.
What?
I am Pippi Longstocking. If you say my name, how does it go?
If you say it fast, it's funny. Pippi Longstocking.
Pippi.
I'll fucking fuck you up and throw a donkey on your ass because I'm super strong.
Because you're gonna throw a donkey on your ass?
Didn't she pick up a donkey and throw it and shit?
I can't. Didn't she like jump a train?
Yeah, she's Superman of wherever country Pippi Longstocking's from. What country is they from?
I think Pippi Longstocking is from Transnistria.
That's not a place.
It is a place, though. That's that little sliver near Moldova that Russia says is like, and it's sandwiched in between Moldova and Ukraine, Transnistria.
She's Swedish.
Okay, close enough.